Welcome to A Rare Reality, a podcast powered by Jordan's Guardian Angels. I'm Christina Janes, Director of Outreach and Content Development for JGA, and I am joined today by two of our team members, Executive Director Carole Bakhos and our Family Engagement Coordinator, Candice Huber, and we are here to talk about what everybody wants to hear about, clinical trials. This is very exciting. What a fun day to have this conversation because we're about busting at the seams here. So Candice, you've had an incredible experience this last week that we're going to talk about. Before we get into that, though, Carole, kind of bring us up to speed here because there's a lot of work that has happened to get us here.
Yeah, let's start from beginning,
Yeah.
just in case someone is just popping in for the first time. So as part of the research effort that has started in 2017, and here we are today, one of the things that was identified was a drug that was tested in the mice that is called zetomelase, and it's not an FDA approved drug. It's a drug that is currently being tested for Fragile X, which is another rare disease, and it's made by originally made by a company called Tetra, who was acquired by a pharmaceutical named Shionogi, and that's who we're working with today. But that drug was tested by our research team in Iowa, Dr. Stefan Strack and his team, on our mice models in PPP2R5D. And it has shown that it improved their cognitive ability, as in they were able to solve puzzles they were not able to solve when they were not injected with the drug, and also showed an improvement in hyperactivity. Based on these findings in the mice trials, we got the approval from the FDA late last year to move forward with the clinical trials. And that's what we announced at the conference,
Right, yeah.
at our last conference in July, which was very exciting. And a lot of work has been put into getting us from that announcement into actually being ready to kick off the trials, which happened officially last week. And where we are currently, so we have three clinics, one in Chicago, one in Boston, and one in Seattle. And they don't all go through the same process and through the same timeline because they each have their own internal process and different regulations they have to adhere by. So that's why like the timeline is a little offset between the clinics. But where we're at with the trials currently, our Chicago clinic at Rush is live, and it actually saw our very first patient that Candice will tell us more about in a little bit last week, which is very exciting.
Oh,
Our
wow.
Seattle clinic is also live, and it's scheduled to see our very first patient on May 27th. So that's coming up very soon here. And then our Boston clinic, their internal approval process is taking a little longer. It's a bit more involved, but that review process is scheduled for May 27th, and then the regulation meeting is scheduled for beginning of June. So we're hoping that's the last two steps required in order to go live, and then after that we'll be scheduling patients as well. So it's really just a week out from the Seattle schedule. So it's very exciting. We
Yeah.
have 35 families scheduled between the three clinics. Our capacity is 36, so we actually have one more spot at Seattle unless anyone drops out, uh, which will open up more spots. But we have our families identified. We have everything in place. It's just a matter of calling and scheduling families at this point, which we'll talk about what to expect next
Yeah.
later in the podcast.
It's exciting. I mean, to know that it's here. I mean, I think that that's the biggest thing here is that this is happening now. We've waited and waited and waited, and then it's happening. So, Candace, take us through this because I imagine, I mean, you were waiting for the phone call anyway, but then the phone call happens.
Happens.
How, what did you, wow, wow, you
So
know?
even listen, even just getting the email, I
Yeah.
mean, we kind of knew, I didn't really know what to expect, honestly. And I know a lot of our families are like, are they going to call? Are they going to email? So the coordinator, so I guess back up too. we each had to choose a location, right? We chose Chicago, honestly, just based on flight time because it's hard in the plane. All of our kids are hard in the plane. We chose it for that reason and that reason only. So we knew that. And then the coordinator Lena reached out to me on an email. And I mean, I'm sure she thought I was an absolute crazy, excited mom. I was like, yes, let's talk whenever you want, you know? And then and then I sent it, and then I didn't answer any of the questions, and I had to re-email her back. So she emailed first, and then we set up a time to talk. So then she called. We went through a lot of medical history on the phone, and she then went through the consent form pretty quickly, and then knowing that we have to go and sign the consent form, and it's a big packet of paperwork, right? And then in the middle of all of it, she was like, can you come? This was last week, guys. Like, this is last Tuesday. And so then she was like, can y'all come Sunday to come see us on Monday? I'm like, yes, my bags have been packed for months, of
Happy
course.
Mother's Day. Here you go.
And it was the best Mother's Day gift anyone could have ever given me. But so we scheduled, right? And then she says, get your flights, get your hotel. Obviously, we are now starting Google Forms to share with everyone on all of that information. That was like the easy part, and I was so excited I got it as soon as we hung up. You know, I got all that done. Then we got there. So we actually got there on Sunday. Now moving forward, after this visit, we could actually fly in that same day, do the visit, and then, you know, the next day go home or whatnot. They just needed us to go a little longer in case things happened. So we got there on the Sunday night. Monday we went to clinic, the first day of clinic. We walked in. Rush is an older hospital, but I mean, from the guy at the door to every single person in the clinic, they were so nice. And I don't know if it was like a musical walking through the hospital, you know, and like getting to the elevator. It was such a surreal, like, oh, I can't even talk about it without getting emotional, but so surreal walking into this clinic, you know, we've been talking about it for so long. There happened to be a dad that was sitting there, you know, his son, we talked for a while. His son, 43 years old, Fragile X, they've actually been on the Z pill. I just keep saying Z pill because it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
For a couple years now. And was a very goosebump God wink. And he was like, it's been very successful for us, and I wish you the best in the future and all the things. And they were so sweet. But it was like the minute we walked in, that was the first conversation I had before even checking in with anyone. So it was just like, we're here and this is so right. Like, it was just so crazy to me. And then
walk us through, like, then you've had this
the
conversation.
first day clinic, coordinator is there and amazing. Lena is fantastic at Rush, like so on it, very organized. The clinic's not huge. I mean, please don't expect like this grandiose, like fantastic. I mean, it was great. It was fine.
Yeah.
Got in the room. And so then she had just a list of things, right? We went through, I have it all written down. So lots of baseline, like this whole few days was just baseline of medical history and baseline of from this point moving forward, to just have things to compare to, right? And to measure. And so several assessments on Hutton himself. And then we did the EKG. And again, you know, the nurses were amazing. I mean, they helped so much. I mean, he's very fussy and moves around a lot, but the EEG was really simple. It was only like 10 patches or so. It wasn't crazy amount of wires. It happened very, very fast. He was comfortable. Everything was fine. Then we did the blood work. They actually have, you know, Dr. Barry Kravitz on our call last time had mentioned like maybe getting lidocaine or something for the kids that aren't good at the blood work. I did have lidocaine with me. They gave me, like, we did it like 20 minutes before. They were very aware of the timing. We put like the Band-Aids over both arms just in case to see which one would go easier. It did take 5 people to do the blood work, but it was so much easier than I thought. That was my biggest fear, was the whole time I've been telling Carole, like, I just need to get over the urine and the blood work samples and I'll be fine. I don't care about anything else. So much easier. They were so
Good.
good. She poked him one time, did it, got all the blood, and we were done.
Great.
So then after that, we did a urinalysis. It's a little harder again. Hut's still in diapers. So, we talked about this, we actually ended up doing a swim diaper at the hotel and like wringing out the swim diaper,
Oh, good.
which worked beautifully. So that's good for parents to know, like getting ready for this. Like if we can actually do the urinalysis at the hotel the night before or whatever, if that's easier for anybody. And then after that, we got to meet Dr. Barry Kravitz, which she was so sweet, so knowledgeable. Just, I know she was so busy. She had all this clinic going on, but she was like there with us, like looking us in the eyes, like we're so excited to have you guys here, part of our team. Like we've been doing Fragile X and Rett syndrome, and now we are so excited to be part of the Jordan syndrome, community. And anyways, it was very heartfelt, and we did go through all the medical history again with her, but she just wrote everything down and explained. She was very good at explaining what was going to happen, how the process, like all the things. And then she did mention like today was kind of like the first day you do the blood work, and we have to make sure risk factors and all that. And then, I mean, Carol and I were talking about it, but so there is a possibility that next morning they do have to give you like a positive go ahead on the second day. So you're kind of waiting for that.
Yeah,
Um,
just to explain
yeah,
that a little bit. So, just a couple of things. So the first visit is a little different in the sense that it's 2 days, and
yes,
everything that Candice talked about that day one is unique to that very
Right.
first visit because you're doing all that baseline data, all that information. She talked about EKG, which is like the heart monitoring, which we haven't actually talked about before. But it's, just I think you said 7 or 8 probes
it
that
was super.
goes on the chest and test. So hopefully that won't be a big issue. The urine test, the blood test, but all these are unique to that very first visit. So it's not something to expect every time you go. What she's gonna share about day two is what to expect going forward for the visits. But the blood test, the reason they do the blood test and cannot wait, they're looking for markers because, even though we all want this, we want to make sure that there's no risk and the benefit outweighs the risk. So they're looking to make sure there's no indications in the blood that there's going to be any risk to our
Yeah.
children that would um, so the drugs are safe
Yes.
basically. And we all want that, right? So don't get alarmed. I think for most of us it won't be an
Yeah.
issue, but it's like a step that has to be taken
Sure.
at that point
Well,
just
and
to
you appreciate
to
safety
enable
first.
that.
Of
Oh,
course.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So second day we got there, and then we did another assessment on Hutton. We did a couple of them, and then I had an assessment just with me, with one of the coordinators, and
Mhm.
she is a BCBA, so she was asking me, and it was like 200 questions, but at the same time we were just having this conversation. It was like not like direct questions for 2 hours. It was
Yeah.
very like open flowing conversation, and then she was like just of what they could do. Again, just baseline stuff. And then the coordinator came back after that. Her and I sat there and we scheduled out pretty much the entire year. There was two that we couldn't schedule out because their calendar just wasn't open for the next year yet. But she still gave me like flexible dates, like, no, it's going to have to be through this week and through this week. So again, obviously we've all waited and our whole lives are on hold for this, but it was very easy. I had my calendar. And it is flex dates. It's not like 6 weeks to
Yeah.
this day. Like she still gave me a flex date. Like it was like like an 8 day window. And then I just picked the date and then we would go and see, morning or afternoon
Yeah.
for the rest of the assessments, to be there. And so then after that, we did the EEG. We went down the hall and all the things, and the EEG girls, again, is this group of three girls. They were so lovely. They were so helpful. And it was honestly, he did so much better than even just when we were in Boston this past summer, was it this summer? Was it this past?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, he actually looked at the screen. He wasn't freaking out the whole time. So I was like, this is huge progress. I mean, they were like, this is great. He's not, I
Yeah.
mean, he didn't like that, but it's fine. They made it through. They made it very easy. I always think he's going to be like the worst kid ever that they've ever seen. They're like, no, they're so used to it and so helpful and kind about it.
And I
Um,
think that's
and
helpful for so many of the families too, is that you don't, they're professionals. They are prepared for this. There's nothing that they haven't seen. So
no,
it's,
and
you're
they've been
okay.
dealing with like the Fragile X kids and the
Yeah.
Rett syndrome kids that are, I mean, they're all the same. They're all, they just actually they were more concerned about the parents
Yeah.
getting upset and I was like, no. So we were just holding him and all that. And then it was very simple. He actually just got to do the iPad. He watched his iPad. Now the one thing they said, pick something that he will watch for like a 3-minute like series, but it has to be the same the next couple of times. Like, because we'll do the EEG, they said like 3 times total, I think. But he has to watch the same thing. Like if it's Mickey Mouse, he can watch a different episode, but it just has to be Mickey
Mickey
Mouse.
Mm.
So it was Mickey Mouse, of course.
Got
And
it.
so it'll be the same for all of them. So, anyways, and then after that, it was like they gave us the package with about 3 months of supply of pills. And Hutton has a feeding tube. So again, this will be very different for every one of us of how you give the pill and whatnot. But we chose and they were fine with me putting it through his feeding tube. So they gave me the pills and I was like, again, it was just this emotional like wave that comes over you. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was sending Carole pictures of him with his bag of pills. I'm like, it's real. It's like, really like even going through that, you don't feel it. You feel this so different every time. And then you got the
Yeah.
pills in hand. It was like, I know she's
Yeah.
like, send me a picture of those pills.
No.
So then I undid it and we put it through his tube and it was like,
Ah,
hey, go, like
so
this is it,
surreal.
you
So
know.
wild. I mean,
Yeah.
it's always seemed like it was so far off. It's always seemed like, yes, we're working towards this goal, but like
Yeah.
Yeah.
here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so surreal. I just want to add a couple of things quickly here, Christina.
mhm.
One thing is there is a slew of testing that Hutton did not do, but some of our kiddos or adults participating will have to do, depending, different participants will do different kind of testing based on what they're able to do, and some of that might be cognitive additional cognitive testing or different assessment. So just keep that in mind that not everyone will go through the same set of assessments. So there's gonna be a set of testing that you might have to go through that Candice did not mention today. So your visit might look a little different. So that's one thing. Secondly, that this was the experience at Rush, Seattle, and Boston might also look different in the process. So keep an open mind and don't freak out if it sounds a little different while you do that. And I also want to remind everyone that half of the participants will be on a placebo pill the first 6 months of the trial. So they'll look exactly the same and be in the same kind of bottles. But we won't know, and the clinics will know. So it's a double blind, who's going to be on the actual pill and who's going to be on placebo for that first 6 months of the clinic. But the next 6 months, everyone is going to be on the pill. So just a couple things to kind of keep in mind as we go through this.
And I think it's a good reminder then also to bring up the fact that there are things that we just can't talk about. There's a lot that we just can't get into once we get started.
And that's like, so two, well, or three things with that also. So one, the other thing was that the end of it, they asked me to write down, 3 goals for communication, for daily activity, and for like behavioral. And it was like 3 goals that we might have that are realistic, measurable, and maybe just have that y'all just start, maybe get everyone to start thinking about that. Because I mean, I sat there for a minute because I knew what I wanted. I just didn't know how to like put it in words.
Yeah.
And then the second thing, just make sure you go there obviously with an open mind, open heart, and just be flexible. Like obviously these doctors, and it's a clinic that they're running to with other patients and whatnot. So, our doctor was a little like 20 minutes late, whatever. You just have to kind of roll with it. There's always the cafeteria was wonderful there at Rush. I mean, there's so many much places you can go walk around outside, and there's food places everywhere right there. But that was the biggest thing. I asked Lena, as the coordinator, like, what, like, as a takeaway from everything with us, what would you tell me to tell our parents? And she said, just to be flexible with us and be patient with us, because we're doing the best we can too, to make sure everything's done, with everything.
Right. And I
So
think it's an important point is, that you can't expect everything to be the same every time. You can't expect it to be the same across clinics. It's going to be different, but it also is, the general idea is similar, and just give everybody some grace. I mean, grace for yourselves, grace for the doctors.
yes,
We're just going to move through it and it's going to be okay.
right.
You know.
I mean, it's not going to just be perfect every time,
No, no,
No.
but I mean, what in life ever really is?
And we all know that. I don't even know. We all are very, very aware and
Right?
that is our motto, right? You just
Yes.
got to roll with it.
We just go with it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Um,
I want to encourage families to really document for yourself, take
please.
videos, pictures, notes. And at some point, once we're done, 18 months, 24 months down the road, once we're all through that phase, I'm sure we're going to love looking at those and doing something with them as a community. But also for, ourselves, it'll be good to kind of look back and see like, how was my child back then? Or, we keep saying child, but
Yeah.
I realize we have adults
Loved
going
ones.
through
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
yeah, as well. So document. I think you'll find it very helpful through the process because it's long, and a year is a long time to like remember and keep track. And when you're with someone every day, you kind of forget, every day becomes the baseline and you forget where you started.
Yeah, please keep track of that because it's for all of us. For somewhere down the road too, it will be so great to have that for our families. I mean, truly, keep as much of that as you can. You guys had mentioned earlier this shared Google document too. Let's talk a little bit about that and what that will be for, how it'll be useful for everyone.
So I had just started it just because from asking from the phone call that I had with the coordinator, whenever I was like, hey, what airport do we fly in? What airport, what hotels, what's this, what is there food places around here? And she had some things, but it wasn't, as organized as we JGA team like to have everything.
Yeah,
So why not start another Google
what we
document for
like.
everything? We love Google Docs.
We love a
But
Google Doc. Yeah.
so for just different tabs, it's like hotel, airports, the actual facility. And I mean, I was very specific in like what elevator to use, and because I mean it's a big campus, basically
Yeah.
hospital, So little things like that, and then extra information. But again, it's going to be editable. It's not just me making it. I want all the families, if they go to some good restaurant, like this is again how we just share
Yeah.
things with each other. And like, hey, I didn't get to go in the architecture tour this time, but I really want to. And I know, so like
Yeah.
just little things like that we'll be able to
Yeah.
share with each
If
other.
you have free time and you get to do that, by the way,
Yeah.
it is so cool.
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, it was
Yeah.
a great,
Yeah.
I've only been once. The
Yeah.
city was amazing too. I mean, it
It's a
was,
beautiful city.
yes, it
Um,
is.
I think that these are important shares though. It makes it a little less scary across any city. It's not fear of the unknown. So if we can do our part to make sure that everybody kind of knows what they're up against, it's
Yes.
huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
So a
This
few
is the
things,
kind of information we are able to share and we should, and
right?
a way for us to support each other, like where's a good gluten-free restaurant or
Yes.
where should I park or, it's just a community document that we can all kind of feed into and support each other that way.
And build on. Just
No, yeah,
always
exactly.
have.
Yeah, and fill everybody in one more time, Carol. What cannot be shared?
What cannot be shared and why? So because it's important to understand the implication of sharing a little too much. So we cannot share some of the observations, like what we're seeing, oh, I'm noticing this change, or this is something I'm seeing different with through this trial, etc. Because once we start this kind of talk, we are influencing each other's opinions, and then we go to report, then that's getting influenced, right? So, because our minds are powerful thing, we start seeing what we're looking for, right? If Candice suddenly starts telling me, oh, I'm seeing all these things Hutton is now doing, then I start seeing them in Yara as well, and then we're going to skew the results. And a trial with skewed results will result in a drug that will not get released and approved, whether it's a drug that works or does not work, and the last thing we want is a drug that works that does not get approved because we have a trial that was skewed, right? So it's really important for us to not do that. And there are real cases that happened had that happened before. It's not like a fictitious case. And when I visited Chionogi earlier this year, I heard all these stories that really brought that point home. There were trials where the placebo group was reporting better results than the group that was on the drug, even though the drug was actually effective and making changes. But it's just like that community was just like sharing and like seeing all these changes that the FDA was like, well, your placebo group was seeing all these results. Why should we approve the drug? And it actually was not approved. So we don't want to fall into that situation. I know we're all hopeful and we want this to really work for our community, but the best thing we want to do is just dial way back our expectation, and as much as possible just take it a day at a time, treat it as like another supplement your kiddo is on, follow the process, document all your findings, and let's see where we get, and then try to be as objective as possible. Keep it to yourself. Please do not share on social media because we're all connected one way or another. Just if you want to keep like a private blog or anything like that, that's totally fine. You can email close family members if you want to update them that way. But really, they even say, don't tell people if you can help it. Let them come and say, we're seeing this, right? Because that's really how if things are changing or not. So I know that's really, really hard for our community to do because we're so close and we're so connected. But I want to really ask from you to find another outlet to share and to document, so we don't want to, after all this work, mess something up that could potentially be really good for our community.
Really important. Please, 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 please listen to that. Please.
Yeah.
I think, and Candice, you'd mentioned this earlier, there's a lot of people to say thank you to. And no matter what, we say thank you and it just never feels like thank you is enough. But that's how we got here.
Yes. I mean, never, ever. That's one of my biggest things throughout all these fundraisers and doing all this is like, you just feel like you hope that saying thank you is enough, but you just never feel like it is. But again, being there with as surreal as it was, all I kept thinking about was like, we wouldn't have made it here without all of everyone that has supported us. And I mean, and I say all the time, like, oh, JGA, and like in my post, I say JGA, but like JGA encompasses so many people. It's the Langs, it's the board members, it's our team that is, our
here we go.
So hard, but like, I mean, and Carole, who is I want to say single-handedly, like she's in charge of research and she has done such a good job pushing this forward. I mean, we probably would have been waiting another year for this,
Not with Carole at the helm. No way.
So like, and our research team, like JGA encompasses, and all of our families, more so all of our families that have just been pushing and raising money and doing all these things like to get us to this point. And then again, just all of the support. I mean, I made one email and I cannot tell you how many emails back I have received on phone calls and texts, just congratulating us and I think they all, like the biggest thing is like they feel it because they're part of it. Like they're part of this huge leap that we've made. And yes, you just can't say thank you enough.
No, truly not. And again, I mean, I think that this is one of those moments where we say thank you for everything, and then we say, but we're just beginning.
Yes.
The day you are the first family to go through this and to begin the process, we have 34 other families who are going to be doing the same thing and an entire community to support. So we start from a place of thank you and love and so grateful for everything that everyone has done, and then we say,
Got to keep
yet we
going.
still need you. We need
Like
you.
even more, actually.
Yes. We need you more than ever. Really and truly, we need you more than ever, and we need our families to dig in and keep giving, keep asking your communities who truly can see that this is happening now. This is not in 5 years. This is now. It's now.
Yeah, and that's really the hope. I mean, as soon as Candice sent me, these pictures, I emailed our research team right away, and I know it touches their heart the same way it touches ours. They've been part of this from day one, and I emailed, our new partner, Shionogi, who is making the drug and who is committed to take us to that finish line. But in the bigger picture, this is like one of the trials we'll probably go through. There's still all these research that is continues to be done, and there's gonna be more drugs, maybe a different kind of gene editing, maybe like who knows what that's gonna look like for us going forward. But just the fact that we set our mind to do this and people believed us, and here we are, like we promised and we delivered, and we're like, and but wait, there's more. And it just feels really good that we can, like, at least for a little bit, take a deep breath, lower our shoulders for a little bit, and like see this go off, be its own thing for a little bit, and then look back and say, okay, what's next, right? So yes, absolutely. Thank you for everyone that believed in our children and our families and gave us that support to get us to where we're at today. And it's just amazing.
It
My
is.
heart is just so full.
It's amazing. It's
Part one,
incredible.
we did it.
We did it. Part one. Hooray. You know? Um, that leads me to what to expect going forward, because there's families who are waiting right now for that phone call or that email. And then what comes next?
Yeah, so let's talk per clinic real quick. So for Seattle, we have tentatively scheduled the first 6 families to go through, and we'll continue through scheduling the families in July for the July schedule. But the goal is to have, one family a week starting May 27th. So what to expect is to get a call or an email from the coordinator at the site. And I want to encourage you to please ask all the logistical questions when they call you about, the flights, the what is the allowance in order to book your tickets, what is the allowance in order for per night per hotel, what kind of really understand the parameters you're working with, so you're prepared to do that. And if you're not sure, just ping me and I'll support you through that. But work with your coordinator, because that looks a little different depending on the city. So I want you to get like the latest and greatest
Yeah.
information from the clinic you're working with. But really ask, there's a reimbursement model where you can kind of pay and then get reimbursed, but also ask what that looks like for them. What's the timeline on that? What's the model looks like? Or they could help you in doing the booking for you, whether it's hotel or tickets. So really talk about all these options. Don't get yourself in a corner. You don't need to do that. This um, a lot of work went into making this stress free for our families, because we know that's already a big commitment, having to make all these trips. So please do ask these questions and understand your options and pick the option that works best for you. So for for most of the families, they're gonna have, a little bit of a heads up this is coming. And then once you know that first visit, the rest of the visits will be mapped out for you. For Chicago, I'm actually meeting with them again in a this week, and we're gonna have the next round of families scheduled as well. So you're gonna hear either from me to get like tentative schedule from everyone, or directly from them. But I've been helping the clinics kind of identify families for available dates, just to kind of facilitate that back and forth a little bit. But we would expect to start again later in June, doing like a family a week as well. For Boston, we just need to get that two last milestones scheduled, completed. So again, that would be that IRB approval, the internal review board approval, that's scheduled for end of May, and then that regulatory meeting, and that turns the clinic on. And then after that point, we can start reaching out to families. Clinics are not allowed to do that step until that meeting is completed. So we're very close, but that's what to expect. But again, when you talk to them, just understand your parameters, and then go from there.
It's very exciting. It's really so incredible to hear. And Candice, I'm thrilled that you guys got to go through it and get to share it all. Well, what we can, and that we have, the future's so bright. There's so much happening and so much to look forward to, and it's so exciting. It is just so
It,
exciting.
it really is. And I want to just talk about a little bit the implication to the bigger community, because that's always a question that we get asked. The truth, plain and simple, it'll all depend on the results of these trials. If it One scenario is we get the results we're hoping for and it works great, and we go to the FDA and they approve it for use, right? We don't need any other trials because we're a small population, and it just gets FDA approved for commercial use. And we're done. And then we look at how do we make it available in other markets as well. And other scenarios would be, do we need other trials, etc., to do? So we really won't know what that'll look like until we have results. But we know our partners at Shionogi are committed to work alongside us and support us to make this available for our children. But for now, we just have to go through the process, see what the science tells us, and then take it from there.
And we have about 18, 24 months ahead of us.
Yeah.
So it is going to be a couple of years before we really know, but the work is underway.
Yeah, and 18 to 24 months of not being able to share much. So we really want to ask the community to just be patient and just sit back and watch the other things happening until we have more information on this particular trial. Yeah.
It's great.
Yep.
Well, we will keep everyone posted. We're going to be doing more of these as time goes on so that we can answer any questions and make sure that everyone is right on the same page through this whole process. So look forward to that. Candice, I'm excited for you. I hope that it's, fingers crossed, that everything is just wonderful. And Carole, looking forward to you guys getting started too. And all good things, you guys, all good things.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it both.
Thank you too. And we'll keep the community posted. And truly the best Mother's Day gift ever, Candice.
It was. It is.
Yes.
Yara's is scheduled on my birthday.
Oh, best birthday. Guys, good job,
They can't time it any better, right?
No, that's amazing. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Well, thank you for spending some time to talk through all of this and share it with their families. And thank you for all of you who are listening out there. We have plenty of podcasts in case you want to catch up. Summertime maybe brings some opportunities to listen. So check them out on our website, jordansguardianangels.org, and across all kinds of platforms. Wherever you get your podcast from, we're there. And on YouTube also for translation services. So thank you guys. We'll see you again soon.